chair crashes to the floor, a lamp almost falls, a terrified cat shoots under the couch, and a dog charges after it, barking louder with every second. Within moments, a peaceful living room turns into complete chaos. And all of it started just a few seconds after they met. Most people have seen this before, in movies, in cartoons, maybe even in their own home. When humans want to describe two creatures that simply cannot get along, they almost always use the same example. Cats and dogs. Somehow they became the symbol of lifelong enemies. But have you ever stopped and asked, why? Now rewind 30 seconds. You bring home a new kitten, or maybe a new dog. You've imagined this moment all week. You picture them sniffing each other, getting curious, maybe even becoming friends. So you open the carrier, you loosen the leash, and you think, this should be easy. For one brief second, everything looks fine. Then the cat runs, the dog follows, the room explodes, and almost every owner reaches the same conclusion. They hate each other. But what if that is the first mistake? What if dogs and cats are not born as enemies at all? What if the real problem begins before the chase, and the biggest mistake is not made by the dog or the cat, but by the human introducing them? The first mistake. Most introductions fail because they begin too close, too fast, too loud, too exciting. Humans often think a first meeting means letting the dog and cat see each other face to face. But to the animals, that moment is not simple. To the dog, the cat is movement, a new smell, a small body, something that might run. To the cat, the dog is size, noise, speed, direct attention, a body moving straight toward it. So the dog steps forward to investigate. The cat steps back to create space. The dog becomes more interested. The cat becomes more defensive. Nothing terrible has happened yet, but both animals are already moving in opposite directions emotionally. One is thinking, what is that? The other is thinking, do not come closer. Then the cat runs, and the dog follows. To the human, this looks like proof that they hate each other. But the chase is not always hate. Sometimes it is curiosity. Sometimes it is prey drive. Sometimes it is excitement with no self-control. The real problem is not just the chase. The real problem is what the chase teaches. The dog learns that cats create explosive excitement. The cat learns that dogs are dangerous, and the next meeting begins with that memory already loaded. That is how a bad introduction becomes a pattern. And that is why forcing them together usually makes everything worse. They speak different languages. Now here's where things become even more interesting. Most people believe dogs and cats simply dislike each other. But what if they're actually trying to communicate and completely misunderstanding every signal? Imagine visiting a country where nobody speaks your language. Someone walks toward you quickly. Are they greeting you or threatening you? Without understanding the language, you can only guess. Dogs and cats experience something very similar. They don't just look different, they communicate differently. A dog often approaches to gather information. It wants to sniff, to investigate, to understand. Moving closer is perfectly normal in the canine world. But to a cat, that same movement means something very different. Cats value distance. Distance creates safety. When another animal walks directly toward them without hesitation, they don't see friendliness. They see pressure. Now look at the dog. Its tail is wagging. Its ears are forward, its body is relaxed. To another dog, these can be signs of excitement or curiosity. But the cat doesn't interpret them that way. It notices something large staring at it, moving closer, blocking the safest escape route. Its body immediately prepares for survival. The cat freezes. Its pupils widen, its muscles tighten. Not because it wants to fight, but because it doesn't know if running is safe. Ironically, this is often the exact moment everything falls apart. The dog sees a motionless cat. Then suddenly, the cat bolts, and movement activates one of the strongest instincts many dogs still carry: chase. Not because they hate cats, but because fast movement is incredibly difficult for the canine brain to ignore. The faster the cat runs, the stronger the instinct becomes. Meanwhile, the cat looks back and sees exactly what it feared. The dog is chasing. Now both animals believe they were right from the beginning. The dog thinks, Running means the game has started. The cat thinks, I knew this animal was dangerous. Neither one understands what the other was trying to say. They're not speaking with words, they're speaking through body language. And unfortunately, they're speaking two completely different languages. Once that misunderstanding repeats a few times, it stops being confusion. It becomes expectation. An expectation is where real conflict begins. Why the chase keeps getting worse. Now here's the part that surprises most people. The biggest problem isn't the first chase, it's the second one, then the third, then every meeting after that. Because neither the dog nor the cat starts over with a blank mind. They remember, not every detail, but they remember how they felt. Imagine meeting someone for the first time. If that person suddenly shouted in your face, your brain would remember the emotion long before it remembered the conversation. Animals work in a very similar way. Their brains are designed to remember experiences linked to survival. Fear, excitement, stress, danger. Those memories stick much longer than calm, ordinary moments. That's why one bad introduction can shape weeks, sometimes months, of future behavior. The next time the dog hears the cat jumping off a chair, its body reacts before its brain has time to think. Its heart rate rises, its muscles tense, its attention locks onto the sound. The cat experiences something similar. The moment it hears the dog's nails tapping across the floor, its body prepares to escape. Even if the dog wasn't coming to chase, even if the dog simply wanted to walk through the room, the brain has already predicted danger. This is called anticipation. And anticipation changes behavior. The dog becomes more excited because it expects movement. The cat becomes more nervous because it expects pursuit. Now something fascinating happens. Both animals begin creating the very situation they fear. The cat leaves sooner, the dog notices movement sooner, the chase begins sooner. Neither one realizes they're helping create the problem themselves. This is why punishment rarely works. Many owners yell at the dog after the chase begins. Some even punish the cat for hissing or hiding. But by then, the learning has already happened. The shouting simply becomes another stressful part of the memory. Now both animals associate each other, and the owner, with even more tension. The relationship doesn't improve. It becomes heavier, because every stressful meeting adds another layer to the story. The dog starts believing, cats always run. The cat starts believing, dogs always chase. And eventually, they stop reacting to each other. They start reacting to their memories. That's why fixing this problem isn't about stopping one chase. It's about changing what both animals expect before the next meeting even begins. Rebuilding the story. So, if the problem was learned, can it be unlearned? The answer is yes, but not by forcing another meeting. The goal isn't to make the dog and cat like each other overnight. The goal is much smaller. Change the story. Start with something neither animal finds threatening: scent. Long before they share the same room, they should share the same smells. Swap their blankets, exchange their bedding. Let each animal discover the other's scent while feeling completely safe. No barking, no hissing, no chasing, just information. The brain begins learning something important. This smell exists, and nothing bad happens. Only after that should they begin seeing each other. But not face to face, not nose to nose. Create distance. Use a baby gate, a slightly open door, anything that allows them to observe without feeling trapped. The dog should never be able to rush forward. The cat should always have an easy escape route. Height is especially important. Cats don't simply enjoy climbing. Height makes them feel safe. A high shelf, a cat tree, the top of a cabinet. These places allow the cat to watch without feeling cornered. Meanwhile, watch the dog. Not for excitement, but for calm. The moment the dog looks at the cat, then calmly looks away, reward it. That tiny decision deserves reinforcement. Because you're no longer teaching the dog about the cat, you're teaching the dog how to feel around the cat. The same goes for the cat. If it chooses to stay visible, even for a few extra seconds, don't rush closer. Don't celebrate loudly, let calm remain calm. Progress in multi-pet homes is rarely dramatic. It looks boring, and that's exactly what you want. No explosions, no panic, no chasing, just another ordinary moment, then another, and another. Eventually, ordinary becomes normal, and normal replaces fear. The goal was never friendship. Here's where many owners misunderstand success. They imagine the perfect ending. the dog and cat sleeping together, sharing the same bed, playing like lifelong friends. Sometimes that happens, but very often it doesn't. And that's perfectly okay. Dogs and cats don't have to become best friends. They don't even have to play together. They simply need to feel safe sharing the same home. Think about the people you live with. You don't have to love every neighbor. You don't have to spend every day together. You simply respect each other's space. Animals are no different. For a dog, success might mean lying quietly while the cat walks across the room. No barking, no pulling, no chasing, just watching, then relaxing again. For a cat, success might mean staying on the sofa instead of running away, walking past the dog without feeling trapped, choosing curiosity instead of fear. These moments seem small. Most owners barely notice them, but to the animals, they're huge victories, because every peaceful interaction rewrites an old memory. The dog slowly learns. The cat isn't something I need to chase. The cat slowly learns. The dog doesn't always take away my safety. Trust isn't created in one dramatic moment. It's built through hundreds of ordinary ones. A calm afternoon, a quiet hallway, a shared room, another peaceful day, then another. Eventually, those quiet moments become their new normal. And that's when something beautiful happens. The house begins to feel different. The dog stops reacting to every movement. The cat stops hiding every time it hears footsteps. The tension slowly disappears. Not because someone forced friendship, but because both animals finally feel safe enough to simply exist together. That was the goal all along. So, why do people believe dogs and cats are natural enemies? Because we usually remember the chase, not everything that happened before it. We remember the barking, the hissing, the broken vase, the chaos. But we rarely notice the first mistake, the rushed introduction, the missing escape route, the overwhelming excitement, the fear that neither animal knew how to explain. Dogs and cats aren't born understanding each other. They grow up speaking completely different languages. One moves closer to gather information. The other creates distance to feel safe. Neither one is wrong. They're simply trying to survive in the only way they know. And that's why the first few minutes matter so much. Not because they decide the future forever, but because they become the first chapter of every meeting that follows. If that chapter is filled with fear, fear becomes the story. But if it's filled with patience, distance, choice, and calm, the story begins to change. So if your dog and cat aren't getting along today, don't ask, why do they hate each other? Ask something much more important. What have they learned about each other so far? Because what animals learn, they can also relearn. Sometimes they don't need a different dog or a different cat. They simply need a different beginning. And perhaps that's something we humans could learn from too. If this video changed the way you see dogs and cats, let us know in the comments. How did your first introduction go? Was it peaceful or complete chaos? And if you're planning to introduce a dog and cat for the first time, what surprised you most in today's video? Don't forget to subscribe to Dog Mind Decoded for more science-backed insights into canine behavior and the hidden psychology behind the animals we share our lives with. We'll see you in the next video.